Shady, the Giants fans and NFL fans have to be curious about this because what Daniel Jones just got paid impacts what your quarterback will be paid. So make sure you dial into this question. Did the Giants overpay for Daniel Jones?
160, 82.
Carry that one, though. Make sure you do your math, right?
I'm gonna say that's a solid number for him. I'm gonna say a solid number because.
Wow, that was a loud sigh from Shady McCoy for such a simple question. Let's look at why there's hesitation about his contract. Right now, Daniel Jones is being paid like a top 10 QB in the NFL with his new $160 million and 4-year contract with the Giants. I don't even think, in my opinion, that he should be in the top 10 QBs in the NFL. He doesn't come to anybody's mind when you think of the top 12 QBs in the NFL. Now, the good thing about his contract is he is only making $82 million a year, which will make it very easy for the Giants to be able to cut him after about year 3 if he does not perform to the level that they want him to. Now, the good thing about Daniel Jones' contract is that in 2023, his cap hit will only be $21 million, which will account for about 9.3% of the salary. This is going to be perfect for the Giants, who need to make some moves and get some players around him to help him succeed. And there's already one problem with him getting this contract. Saquon Barkley doesn't want to sign his franchise tag. And the reason for that is he also wants to be paid like Daniel Jones. And as a running back, their careers don't last very long. And he's already had one major ACL injury. And so his time is coming up. And last year was his comeback year from tearing his ACL 2 years ago. So now with Daniel Jones getting this big contract, Saquon Barkley feels like he's out of the loop. They already have Darren Waller, who's the highest paid tight end in the league, who they got for Daniel Jones. But will Daniel Jones even use him effectively? He had Evan Ingram for many years, but he didn't use him very effectively. If we look past 2023, Daniel Jones' contract doesn't look as team-friendly if you're trying to win a Super Bowl. Now, I say this because in 2024, he will have a cap hit of $45 million, which as of right now will rank 7th amongst all QBs in the NFL for 2024. This is before looking at Jalen Hurts' contract, since this has not come out. In 2024, Daniel Jones' contract will account for about 18.9% of the team's salary cap. This is when the Giants will really struggle to build around him, because now they won't have enough money to be able to grow their team and make it better, because they have to pay almost 20% of their salary cap to Daniel Jones, who isn't very special and only throws about 15 touchdowns a year on a good year. At this point, they will struggle a lot to be able to keep Saquon Barkley, and this is probably why it'll be interesting to see how this goes down with Saquon Barkley trying to sign a new contract. The great thing about Daniel Jones' contract is that in 2025, it will be an $18 million dead cap if they were to cut him, and then in the following year, in 2026, it will be a $9 million dead cap, which will be great for the team, as they can move on for him relatively easily. In this way, I believe that this contract is very team-friendly and allows for them to basically give him like a 2-year trial at, a very expensive rate trial, granted, because the minimum you're going to have to pay him is $82 million over the next 4 years. But over the next 2 years, they'll be paying him $21 million and $45 million. The fact that Brian Daboll went out there and traded to get Darren Waller for Daniel Jones shows that they are ready to build around him. Now, the only problem that comes with Darren Waller is his injury history. In the last 2 years, Darren Waller has missed 14 of the last 34 games. However, if he can find a way to stay healthy, which I think he'll be able to, then he will for sure be Daniel Jones' #1 option this upcoming year, unless they're able to draft someone who can take that role away from Darren Waller. The great thing about Darren Waller is that he's always going to be open because he can beat any linebacker with his athleticism. Now, if Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley weren't able to produce touchdowns since nobody else could help him on the offense, the Giants' defense wasn't helping it either. Last year, the Giants' defense really struggled to help win any games. The Giants' defense ranked 31st in yards given per game on the ground. They ranked 22nd in touchdowns given on the ground. They ranked 32nd in interceptions. They ranked 21st in sacks. And they ranked 1st with the most penalties given up. Now, what makes the Giants such an interesting team is that last year they were ranked 3rd in their division. Almost all of their wins came from out of their division. In 2022, Daniel Jones had a record of 8-3 against opponents not in his division. In those games, he threw for an average of 205 yards and 1 touchdown, while running for another 40 yards on average. Now, I do kind of put an asterisk on the wins outside of his division, and the reason for that is because only 5 of the 11 teams had a record over 500, and only 2 of those teams really got over 10 wins throughout the season. with those two teams being the Ravens and the Vikings. And they did end up beating the Vikings in the playoffs, where he threw 3 touchdowns the second time he met him. Daniel Jones was 1-3-1 in the regular season and 1-4-1 if you include playoffs. They did lose twice to the Eagles and twice to Dallas, which is very concerning to me, as they'll have to continue playing that same team, and those teams do not have to change much. The Cowboys have already paid their quarterback, and the Eagles have just paid their quarterback, but they're going to keep a majority of their core, so will the Giants just always be a third-place team? And if we look at Week 3, when the Giants played the Cowboys, they didn't even have Dak Prescott playing quarterback. Dak Prescott had a hand injury that kept him out of the game, and Cooper Rush ended up having a fourth-quarter comeback and beating the Giants. Daniel Jones had a chance late in the fourth quarter to solidify himself as a good quarterback who can come and run down the field and score a touchdown, but threw a horrible interception that lost them this game. Then in Week 15, the Giants finally got their first division win against the Commanders. He had a very average game, but thanks to special teams, the Giants were able to bail Daniel Jones out and come out to an early 14-3 lead that ended up carrying them all the way through the game, as they only scored 6 more points after this. I personally think Daniel Jones is a really good person, but I just don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's the future for the Giants, and I don't think he'll be winning a Super Bowl with the Giants anytime. I think Brian Daboll was kind of forced to give him a contract, as he did bail him out, but throwing for 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, it just does not seem like you'll be able to compete with players like Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, or any of the young quarterbacks, as those quarterbacks will be getting paid less and have better teams around them to help them win a Super Bowl. I think the Giants may be just using him for a couple years and be jumping ship once it's the right time.
Fake. Jones. He's going to go in again.